Welcome to Healed, Whole, Called, the podcast where stories of trauma meet the healing power of Jesus. Each week, we journey with women who have walked through pain, wrestled through the process, and now stand in the promise of who God called them to be. This is more than storytelling. This is sacred space, where honesty is welcome, healing is possible, and hope is alive. And now, here's your host, Wendy Melrose.
So first up, my first guest. Today I'm honored to welcome Reagan Andrew, founder of Adrift Tours and Travel, a woman of deep strength, joy, and purpose. She's a dog mom of two wild rescue girls, a lover of adventure, and someone who helps others reconnect and heal through meaningful, intentional travel. Sounds like I need a trip. Reagan is a sibling loss survivor, a rape survivor, and has walked through the pain of divorce, yet her story is one of undeniable resilience and redemption. With God as the center of her healing, she found unique ways to reclaim joy, including one of her favorites, boxing. And where she says she processes praise and punches through the pain. Can't wait to hear that. Reagan, thank you so much for showing up with the authenticity and courage. I know your story is going to touch so many hearts today. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited, and wow, I am a tad bit humbled and honored to be your first one. That's a little nerve-wracking. I don't know if I should set the bar high or low or just kind of ride the wave in, but yeah, thank you for having me this morning.
You're so welcome. So we're going to start at the beginning. What was the moment or season of hardship that you walked through?
Um, let's see, December 2019 and COVID 2020. I lost my 16-year career with the city of Long Beach as their events and festival coordinator. I got divorced, sold my childhood home, and moved to St. Louis, Missouri, all in March of 2020.
Wow. Nothing
So
like a lot of change going on, including the world.
there was, yes, absolutely. There was definitely a lot of change going on in the world. Yes. Everything was shutting down. A job in tourism and festival and event management wasn't happening because people weren't traveling. We
Right.
were homebound. So that made it difficult. So I had to pretty much lose my identity completely. I packed up my car and literally moved from the end of the Lewis and Clark Trail to the beginning of the Lewis and Clark Trail ish, and arrived in St. Louis, Missouri on the 26th of March, 2020, the day God said, "You're all grounded, stay home."
Right.
So, yes,
That's
yes.
crazy. And what was the moment? Was there a moment where you felt like you wanted to give up at all? Was that in the beginning or like later on through the journey?
Both. um, uh, after a extended period of time of having your identity be the city of Long Beach, festivals and events, Michael Myers' wife. You have all these identities, and then when those identities go away,
Mhm.
you really have to figure out who you are, who you want to be, and what that looks like.
Right.
And I had completely lost myself. I
Hmm.
had no idea who I was, what purpose I had, why I even was still living, honestly.
Wow.
It was a very unsettling, dark place. And I had always loved coming to St. Louis because of my job with the city. We were
Hmm.
at the end of the Lewis and Clark Trail. So I met all of these wonderful people in St. Louis who had come out for the signature event in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And I had friends out here. So when everything kind of fell apart, they were like, well, come out here. And literally, as I was coming out this way, go west, young man. Well, go east, young woman. I mean, was kind of how it went. And by the time I got here, yeah, literally, we couldn't go anywhere. The world had shut down. So, yeah, it was quite interesting.
So it's almost like kind of a perfect storm situation where you had, you were going through, not only did you lose your job, you also had it where you could, where you lost your job, lost your marriage, lost your home, and had to start all over while the world was shut down.
Right. Right. Yes, all of it. Uh I and then I had drove 2,500 miles away from home, or what was my home. So
Right.
I was staying with a good friend who had said, "Well, why don't you just come out here?" So she flew out to Portland, Oregon. I picked her up and we drove back out here, and I landed in Hazelwood. Um, we went through the 18-24 months of the pandemic, and then I was hired on with a faith-based travel company. I
Ooh.
worked with them for a little bit and learned a lot about this side of the industry. I had always sold a destination. So when you cross to the dark side and you become a travel tour operator, and you work with groups, um, it's the fun side. It's being on the bus with the people, being with the group. And I just think that's where I thrive. So
Nice. So
I
that was
would
kind of your turning point, if you will. So take us
definitely.
a moment on like take us to the moment or the process. So like obviously things began to shift at that moment, but what did the healing journey look like? So even though it shifted, sometimes it still takes a moment to experience the healing from the inside out.
Oh, absolutely. What was the shift? The shift was in November of 2024 when I tried to hurt myself.
Oh, okay. That's
And
recent.
yeah, and that's when I started boxing.
Oh.
So that is recent for me too. I never would have thought I would wrap up, glove up, and beat on something. So, so yeah, that was awesome. Um, but what I liked about it is it's a faith-based boxing clinic club.
Nice, nice.
And so on Thursdays, I was invited to go to Faith Over Fear, which is their, weekly, like a Bible study and boxing kind of thing.
Wow.
So the first 20 minutes is we all sit down, spiritual message, kind of talk about whatever that's kind of on our mind. And
Right?
then the next thing we do is when we box it out. So yeah.
That's crazy. So tell me, so like, there's been times in my life where I've done, kickboxing or whatever, and
Yes.
I was in my best shape at that point. You know, obviously you weren't doing this for a weight release. You were doing this almost kind of like a metaphorical smash room, but with boxing.
Oh, yes. And I have ADHD. So being mentally on, I have to listen to my coach. Like when he's
Yeah.
sending out commands, I hate to do this to you, but I have to put a pause on this. I literally have four men from a tree service in my front yard right now,
Okay, hold on one
trying
minute.
to cut down a tree that I don't know why they're here.
Okay, one second. Let me
I'm
hit pause.
sorry.
No, don't be sorry, girl, please.
I'm
Hold
like,
on.
all right.
Okay, so after that fun little like break when Reagan had to like box the people off her front yard who's trying to cut down the wrong tree, let's go back to where we were talking about like healing. But one of the things you mentioned right before we came back from our break is the built up of trauma over time, the unresolved trauma. So like obviously you had just mentioned to me that we haven't told the listeners yet that your brother died at the age of 16. So that's one of the traumatic events. We don't have to go through all the trauma, but share like what it was with the different breaking points in the trauma, unresolved trauma that has led you to the point where you almost took your own life last November.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's quite a buildup.
Sorry about that.
Looking back, no, but it's great because looking back on it, it's like, wow, that was. I mean, you go from sibling loss to job loss to divorce to, transition across country with a new move. And I might be from the Lou and I'm proud, but I didn't go to high school here, which means I also don't have any family here. Like I did this because my 5 whys include number one being Lewis and Clark, who, passed away 200 and some years ago before I was even born. So I I just I just keep going. I keep going so fast and doing that I never have had the time to really slow down and process things.
Well, do you think that
So
maybe you didn't slow down because the pain was so harsh?
absolutely. And constant, just being compounded with big life events. So you get here and you go through a couple of job transitions and find your tribe.
Uh-huh.
And you build your foundation. I mean, I've lived here 5 years, March 26th. So a little over 5 years, and I own a home. I started my own company a year ago. I'm a full service, travel company. Um, I rescued 2 dogs. I moved to St. Louis cross country with 3 little dogs who I've lost. But they were 19, 15, and 10. So my little cross country travel companions. So I really don't know what it was in November that was the breaking point for me. But I just found myself in not a really good place. And I had met Emil, and he owns Resilient Boxing. And he had invited me to several times. You need to come out. You need to come out. It'd be great. And just never did it. And one night I found myself at the gym and I was just beating the bag. I wasn't even form. I didn't know what I was throwing as far as commands. I just was angry and I couldn't get my head to calm down or be quiet enough to listen to what he was doing. And so he kind of pulled me aside and he's like, "What's going on?" And I told him, and he was just kind of shocked because I don't know, I guess I'm always smiling and I always happy and jovial. So that wasn't, that was very out of character for me. And next thing I know, like everybody that was there that night all got around me and they just started praying, and then it just became easier. Now I look forward to going to the gym, get a little upset when I don't get to go to the gym. So, so it's kind of my boxing family. And
Right.
if I'm not at the gym for a week because something's going on or I've got multiple things happening, I'm getting a text or a phone call going, "Where are you, girl? Like, I better see you."
It's like
So
your accountability club.
yes, and I really I need that
Yeah.
a lot. So that's been a very helpful physical outlet for me.
Well, one of the most beautiful things about God is, obviously, one of the things we can either do, we can either ignore the pain, but in order to get to healing, we have to go through the pain. But God meets us where we are in it, and He
Mm-hmm.
happened to meet you at the boxing ring.
Yeah,
And so, to me, people are just like, I need to go to church more. But God can meet you where you are on the planet. It doesn't have to be in a church building. God's
no,
people are the ecclesia. We are all, when we're walking as a body of Christ, God lives in and through us everywhere. So it literally doesn't matter where. So anyone that's listening to this and thinking like, I haven't been to church in 100 years. Well, going to church and being a part of the body of Christ is where we can be united in. And he talks about fellowship. But when we're in pain, God can meet us anywhere.
absolutely. Because and to add to that, you were like, "Oh, I can't go to church. I haven't been in a long time," or "I can't walk into a church. I'll be lit on fire or struck dead or whatever they say." And it's like, okay, all right, bless y'all's hearts. But that's not how it works, you know. It, because I'm my first company I worked for, I didn't feel I was a good enough Christian or good enough child of God, because I didn't know every Bible verse in the Bible, and I didn't know the relationships of all the players on the team, and it was very hard to feel like I was good enough in that sense. And that's kind of why I've created the Renewing Your Faith campaign for churches, is because there has to be people like me that sit at that I go to church every Sunday, and I sit there, and sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't know, Matthew 24:7, I don't know different scriptures, that if Wendy, you had a headache and you were feeling low today, let me open. I I I don't, that's not how God uses me.
Mhm.
I have my sense of humor. I pass out my little silver angel coins. I'm a hugger. I'm a picture taker and sharer of all the good fun moments. But I can listen if you need an ear. I'll check on you when I feel like maybe you just need somebody to say, hey, I have a friend whose brother just died. His funeral was yesterday. And so I was like, how are you? And she's like, I just can't wait for the day to be over. Well, as somebody who's lost a sibling, I don't want to say I know how you feel. I hate that term.
Right?
But it's a crappy club to be a part of.
Sure.
And if she needs to chat, I'm here to listen, or
Right.
here to cry, or here to say, do you not want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about how I just bought a new bikini and it's purple, and I'm gonna look like that, redheaded beached whale at, so like those kinds of things. Like, that's not how I feel about myself, but it made you laugh.
Yeah, right.
That's how I feel God uses me.
That's
Just
so
in different ways. I'll be the first person to rally a team picnic if, we need to do something, or the prayer warriors to all get together. But
Mhm.
he didn't use me as a pastoral type.
Right.
Even though I'm ordained, and I just performed a wedding the other night. So, I mean, you never know how God's going to work with you.
That's so right.
I'm just a big
So
puppet.
that's so funny. Well, and then you just kind of went all the way through, like, where you are today and how God uses your story. And he uses your story through authentic love and capturing memories and being the silly person when people join clubs they didn't sign up for.
Right. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nobody
Absolutely.
signs up for the hey, my husband died club, or my sibling died club, or hey, I lost my job club. And it's funny because and I always use funny in the wrong context. It's not ha 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 ha, but it's
Ironic,
ha
funny.
ha
Right.
ha.
Yes.
So it's where we can be there when we're close to someone. Like, if I were to message that friend and be like, hey, like, trying to make you laugh today, it would have totally become like, what is your problem? My brother just died. But
Right.
someone who's really close to us, we should have, give ourselves the permission to not be all this, stupid words that the world uses all the time. It's like, maybe
Right.
just be you and be like, hey, I know this time sucks. Welcome to the club nobody wants to be a part of. Hi, by the way, I got a purple bikini and I'm going to go be a beach whale. Ha 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 ha.
Right. Uh, right. And I think he he knows when to turn that humor on for me, because
Yes.
that I Kim called the other day and I said, okay, do you want to just cry and talk about it, or do you want me to distract you? Like, I'll give you the option. If you want to have a minute to just vent and cry it out or talk about it, let's talk about it. If you want me to completely distract you with, you know, whatever
Silliness.
you want, I'll make jokes. We'll diss on your ex-husband, like whatever it is. We can do that to lighten the moment. I mean,
Right.
I have another friend who literally Monday through Friday between 7:30 and 8:30 calls me every morning because, Reagan, I just wanted to hear your voice. really? Okay. But if that's what I can do to make her happy, that's easy.
Yeah.
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Well, we're going to finish up by asking this one question. Would you be willing to speak a word of encouragement or pray over? So like what would you share with the audience right now? A word of encouragement who might be listening, who's in a similar place.
Honestly, don't be afraid to ask for help, because one of the things that I didn't mention was I struggle deeply with asking for help until it's almost like a bonfire. But I reached out in November to my doctor and left a message, and within 5 minutes called me back because she knew I do not ask for help. So I've had people tell me, "Oh, when you're in that dark place, write a gratitude list, write a whatever." Well, I'm sorry, when you're in that place, you ain't doing that.
And you don't feel grateful for anything.
You don't feel like living.
Right.
But literally, it's okay to ask for help. Throw out the lifeline and ask for it.
Nice.
Or if you are someone who knows someone who is struggling and you know they're struggling,
Right.
reach out.
Right. I mean, there's even the people who, suffer in silence. Nobody knows.
Yes, and we
So
all do that.
Right. And so if you're one of these people who are listening right now and nobody knows you're struggling, not one human, there are hotlines you can call to keep it completely anonymous. I'm trying to remember. I'll make sure they're on the website. So like just go to resilience-press.com, or when I finally buy the URL for this podcast, just go there and just get prayer. There's a way to get anonymous prayer, a way to get for suicide hotline. Nobody needs to know if you're not in the place for them to know yet.
Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, call 503-791-7437. Call me. We'll chat. Text me. We'll chat. Don't have to tell me who you are, and I will make sure to get the numbers for you.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Reagan, for sharing your heart with us today. To the listeners, remember your story isn't over, that you were not disqualified by what you've been through. With Jesus, you are healed, whole, and called. Remember to subscribe to this channel. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Healed, Whole, Called. If this episode spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe and share it with someone who needs to know that healing is possible, purpose is real, and God is still restoring. And before you go, visit resilience-press.com and download your free copy of Get to the Point of Self-Publishing, Wendy's guide to help you move from stuck to published with clarity and confidence. You'll find it in the free resources section. Until next time, stay rooted in truth, covered in grace, and always moving toward the promise.